we have Councilman Lagercio, and we're going to talk a little bit about some members of the Ridge Fire Department, one member in particular, that the word on vacation does not mean not working. It means always on your guard, always alert, always protecting. And I'll let Mike explain a little bit more.
Thank you, Supervisor. Gentlemen, join us, please. And the Hamlet of Ridge is represented in the town board by Councilwoman Jane Bonner and also Councilman Dan Panico. So Dan, I'm going to ask you guys to join me on this, please. Everyone, when a firefighter's pager goes off and we respond to the firehouse and you gear up and you jump on a rig, you know you're going to something. You know something's up. Every call is different, but you know you're going to an emergency and you kind of have an idea of what it is you might be going into. That's when the pager goes off. But in this situation, we have a case where firefighter Danny DeMeo was on vacation with his wife Michelle and their two beautiful children in Mexico. And they're walking through the resort on their way to dinner. Danny's pushing the stroller like a good daddy. And he hears people screaming, "Help, help. Does anybody know CPR?" He turns around, he says to Michelle, "Here's the stroller," runs over to the victim, and he looks and he sees a lady who was on the ground, bleeding from her mouth, bleeding from her nose, that apparently had gone into cardiac arrest. What does firefighter DeMeo do? All his training kicks in. He gets down on his knees, and he performs CPR, starts chest compressions. Someone else comes over. Meanwhile, Dan, correct me if I'm wrong, but no one else was helping out. It was a whole crowd of people. Another person comes over who knew what they were doing, also started taking a pulse, and all of a sudden they said, "Hey, we got a pulse." Brings the lady back. At that point, lifeguards came. They scooped the victim up. They took her in. Danny gets up, walks over to Michelle. And Danny, why don't you tell us what Michelle said?
She said, "Do you realize what you did?" And I said, "No." She said, "You just saved someone's life." And didn't even realize it. It's just what we do. It just comes into play, what we learn from the fire department.
And you know, it's interesting because we drill every Sunday. We have constant courses that we take. And it was just how long prior to that had you taken a refresher? A week prior, Danny had taken a refresher course in CPR. Not that you couldn't have done it without that refresher course, but he had just taken a refresher course. So all that training kicked in. And Danny, on behalf of the town board, town supervisor, Councilwoman Bonner, Councilman Panico, and myself, a brother in the fire department with you, I say thank you. And we now pronounce today, December 1st, Danny DeMeo Day in the town of Brookhaven. So thank you.